can be like staring at the...
That's the camera. It doesn't matter. We've got a camera here too, and you'll go back. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in to Real Talk Mondays. Super excited to have my boy Keith here. Oh, I gotta turn the volume off. Super excited to have my boy here, Keith Edmonds. He's with Pinnacle Bank, right here in the East Tennessee area. So today we're kind of going to go into the importance of building relationships and building a successful working partnership with different vendors and whatnot. I've been able to work, tons of deals with Keith and worked with a lot of different vendors in the past. And everything that I always tell people, like, it's not about just winning people over. It's not about just doing favors. It's about a lasting relationship that that somebody's going to take care of your people just the same that you would take care of your own clients. So really want to dive into that. So if you haven't, if this is the first time viewing the podcast, we go over every Monday at 12 o'clock. We go over the struggles, what's going on in our area, and really how to build people up. My name's Jay Combs, Coach Jay Combs. Been in business for now 2.5 years in real estate, and I think we just surpassed our $80 million mark in that time frame. So wouldn't be there without the help of a lot of great people. I've got awesome teams. I've got a lot of awesome people that we work with on a regular basis. And if you guys haven't checked out this fresh new gear that we have, we just got the team some new gear. I got my man Keith over here wearing some stuff too, so they can tell if you're watching the computer screen. So Keith has been in mortgage for a long time, longer than I've been in business. Me and Keith got linked up together. Through just some acquaintances. He popped up on my Facebook, and I was like, man, what is this redhead doing? And he kept on, and then I met him. We worked a deal, and he took really good care of our clients. And that's kind of how it kind of snowballed. It went in from one client, and then I was like, okay, we're gonna check this guy out for another. And then I had a client rave about how the experience was. So started utilizing his services, and Keith will do, in the last 2 years, he'll do over $70 million as an independent, right?
Correct.
So kind of maybe share with people, because I know $70 million in real estate, that's huge, and we'll do roughly around $40 million this year as a team. You're going to do close to $40 million as a solo.
That's right,
guy. So apparently we need to be taking notes. He's going to interview me because he's the rock star, and we're just sub-average. So maybe kind of tell everybody how you've gotten there and just a little bit about yourself.
Well, sure. Well, I'm a very driven person, self-motivated. I like being around people that are as well, and I think that's what helps lead to success. People that have a passion for what they're doing, and they expect greatness, and I expect that from everybody that I work with. And so that's why working with Jay and his team has been such a great partnership. But having the support at my office with the team that I have, and just recognizing them for all their efforts and the way they support me, is crucial to help me be successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. So last year you did 32. This year you're gonna probably hit $40 million, which that's incredible. Mm-hmm. How does that scale with other mortgage lenders and loan officers in the area?
I don't keep up with a lot of what everyone else is doing.
As most greats don't.
But I've gotten some feedback from other people, just in conversation, and the production that I'm fortunate enough to have. Again, going back to a great team, can't forget to give them all the credit that's due there. I think there may be a couple of people there on the same level in Blount County in particular, in the whole greater Knoxville area. So I don't think that I'm tops in the Knoxville area, but I'd definitely be up there.
Yeah. And so how long have you been in business?
Well, I've been doing strictly mortgage loans for about 4 years, but been in the financial business doing loans for individuals and businesses for about 11 years.
Awesome. So to be at that kind of volume in 4 years, I don't know a whole lot of loan officers, and I've talked to several. But really, Keith kind of nailed it. He has the expectations of success. He's got the expectations of being driven and surrounding himself with people that are like that. And I think that that's one of the biggest compliments. When I talk to people, I'm huge on relationships. I like to do business with people that I like, that I know. And I didn't know a lot of people when I first got in this business. I didn't have a real estate background. So meeting people with commonalities was how it started. And then it's funny because I get contacted by LOs all the time, and I'm open. I'm always open, and I'm realistic, because we wouldn't have the business relationship we have if it weren't for me being open. But I tell people, like, hey, the ability to win, someone like myself or other real estate entrepreneurs and people that are going out and getting it is just leading by example. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you've done. So we're kind of going to dive into what the goal is for this is building a successful business relationship, what the expectations there are, and what it takes to go to the next level. Everyone has a relationship with someone that's in the business, but how you can take that and how you can build lifelong or long-term relationships. So Keith, in your opinion, obviously I'm not the only real estate agent that you work with, but you've probably worked with a lot. Actually, bear with us, guys. Hey, if you're watching this video, give us a share, share this, because we want to impact you guys. Wow, some hearts. Hold on here. We want to share this. We want to share this out, and so I'm sharing this on Instagram as well. And apparently I've got this little pink hue around me and Keith's head. So if you are watching this on Instagram, catch us on Coach Jay Combs. But I'm not the only person that you're in business with, and clearly vice versa. But when it comes to you, like whenever you're, I guess, quote unquote, interviewing a real estate agent, or just maybe just in general, like let's just say take this business. What are the attributes? What are the things that for you equate into a good business partnership?
Well, two things I'll say. One, I need to see the passion that for clients, that you're going to fight for your client, you're going to do right by them, and make sure that you're looking out for their best interest at all times. Second is communication. I want to make sure that people that I work with are going to be able to share with me when I need that, and that they'll receive when I need to share with them. I think communication is the biggest component of success for this business. And I think anybody who's successful will tell you that exact same thing. Absolutely.
So you guys heard that. Communication really, so I haven't been in business for an extremely long time. 4 years, in this business isn't an incredibly long time. But what I found out is communication is one thing that most people lack. Good, solid communication is the one thing that people lack. And I used to think that, what's up, Chris Adams? Man, hey, listen, got to give my buddy a shout out. He's one of my long-term clients. Great guy. I hope everything's going well in Georgia. But communication is one thing that, like when I first got into business, it wasn't a priority to me. Mm-hmm. And I think that I probably burnt some people in the past because I wasn't a good communicator. I was a hell of a salesperson, but I wasn't a top-notch communicator. And where I know that what business is going now is you got to nurture those relationships. You have to make sure that you're looking out for the other people. I know, and I know that you would agree with this, but I know that you've got my back. If there's something I need, or like this weekend, I'll give you an example. I had a client that had been trying to get a pre-approval for a week and a half. The lender that they had talked to, had other priorities. It wasn't top priority for them. And they said with today being a holiday that, they wouldn't even get an answer until Tuesday. I called Keith and said, hey man, look, I know it's a late night on Friday. I've got clients that want to make an offer on a property. I need your help. And Keith went out and had a 45-minute conversation, or hour-long conversation with the clients. And whenever, what's up, Tommy? Sorry, squirrel. But she called me and she was like, man, like, is this normal? And I said, yeah, that's what happens when you work with good people. I was like, he's going to go out of his way to make sure that you're taken care of. And he did it right the first time. I think that's important, doing things right the first time. And that way you don't have to do it a second and third time. But went out of his way on a Friday. Now, do I say, hey, everyone that we do business with, or am I going to answer every phone call Friday night at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night? No, of course not. There's certain expectations where you have to have a quality of life, and being a dad, being a parent, there's certain times where you have to let go, to have a healthy work-life balance. But, there's times where having that good means of communication, knowing, say, hey, I'm not going to, bombard you at 7:30 at night on a Friday to go out and do that. But if it wasn't important, I wouldn't ask for it. But you knew the importance, and you got it done. So, my buyer was like, man, like, I only want to use people that you recommend. I said, look, you can use whoever that you want to use. And that is your right. This is your process. But we do business with people that we can trust, that do a good job and do a good job for our clients. I had one guy ask if there was some type of kickback for a home inspector. I was like, my gosh, home inspections are $300 to $500. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, buy me McDonald's? You know what I mean? I was like, no. I mean, we do business with people that we can trust. It's gonna be honest. It's gonna be ethical. That's gonna get the job done the first time. And I think that's a testament to where Keith went out and was able to, within an hour, go in depth, get the right questions, make sure it was legitimate, go through and generate a pre-approval. Now we're under contract, wrote a contract on a game day. It's not always perfect, but setting those expectations, doing it on the front end. So that's a compliment to you. But it just goes back to being an effective communicator, being willing to, and I think sometimes doing the things that aren't easy are the right things to do. Could you have waited till Monday? Of course. Could you have waited till Tuesday? Of course. But like, that person's now doesn't have that person in business. So communication is a huge thing, guys, and I think that's with any business. I think that's with personal relationships. I think that goes a long way. I know one thing now that I'm a big believer in it is, if I don't communicate with somebody on the front end, I'm not going to do it at all. Like, if I've got a client that it's just absolutely hard to communicate, if they're not willing, it's probably just best that we cut ties, because it's not a healthy relationship. And the goal to get to that point, I think, is crucial, to where you can say, hey, I want to work with people that want to work with us. You know what I mean? So you hit on the two things that makes a good partnership. And I think that if anyone can take, if you take anything out of this, take that. I think the biggest thing is you can be hungry, but if you're not a good communicator, it's not going to work. If you can take anything out of it, be well at communication, respect other people, and be considerate of everybody. There's always different variables in every part, and there's you never know what else is going on with someone else. So I'll leave it at that. What as a top producer in any, gosh, I can't speak now. As a top producer in any industry, but you specifically in the mortgage business, what areas of your business do you focus the most time on?
Well, I think just going back to Jay's comments just now, self-reflection is so important. You heard him talk about having maybe burnt some people in the past because he didn't communicate with them, but he learned from that. He realized that, hey, in order for me to be successful in this, I've got to make sure that I'm doing things the best way. And so I think that's so important. As long as you get number one priority in my business, the clients, making your clients happy, if that's number one priority, everything else will kind of fall in place. And so that's what's really important. Since the title of this podcast is Real Talk Mondays, let's be real a little bit about communication. For Jay in particular, when he met Erica, that really helped him because she is a really, really good communicator. And
I invited this guy to my podcast, and he's throwing me under the bus.
And all I'm saying is, going back to self-reflection, Jay saw what Erica was doing, and he learned from her. And that's what it's all about, is you need to learn from the people you're around and surround yourself with great people so you can constantly be improving.
No, absolutely. It's funny that you say that is, as far as communication, there's probably not anyone better in the business. I'm fortunate enough to be in business with my significant other, and she's probably the best communicator that I've ever seen in any industry. Other than when she's mad at me, then it's like I'm under the bus, and I'm gonna stay under the bus, and I'm gonna ride the bus. So, that's a whole another podcast in itself. But no, I think what you got is making sure the client's always happy. I'm gonna have to say I 95% agree with that, because not every time. You're not always going to be able to please every single client.
Sure.
And I think as we grow, and as you grow, the client doesn't always have to be completely happy. We are not gods. We can't. There's certain variables of any business. I don't care what business that you're in. There's certain variables that you can't be in control. We as business professionals control the controllables, and there's times where somebody's gonna be pissed at you. There's times that you're gonna have to shut down and watch your daughter's soccer game. There's times that you're gonna have to set priorities. I think where and this goes into something crucial. I think where as business professionals fail is setting clear expectations. And setting precise expectations. Exactly. And if we did more of that on the front end, then we would have less problems on the back end. So 95%, I agree with that. It's not always about, making sure the client's as happy as they get, because you're going to have clients that at the end of the day, they're not going to be 100% satisfied. And I don't care. Whoever says I've got 100% satisfaction rate, they're lying, or they haven't done enough business. Yeah. Because there's going to be variables. You're not going to be able to close on a certain date. A deal will fall through. Someone's going to go out and buy a vehicle after you told them not to, and they're not going to get pre-approved, or they're not going to be able to secure that loan, and that's going to be a situation. Shout out to my man David Fish. David's birthday was this weekend. Thank you for joining, David. Chris, thank you for joining. Tommy, thank you for joining. Got some car guys, and those guys understand how important it is to build relationships as well, because it's not about the product, it's about the people. It's not about the process, it's about the people. People supersede the process or the product, in my opinion, every day. But I agree. At the end of the day, Jim Rohn said this. He said one super satisfied client can be the equivalent to $15,000 worth of marketing dollars. If you have one superstar, happy, satisfied client, they can go out and give you as much business as if you spent $15,000. Who on here? Listen, if you guys want to be attentive to this, who on here would love to have one superstar client? Would love to have me as a client that was super satisfied? Tune in here. Give me a share. Give me and Keith a thumbs up. Give me a like. Give me something there, and so we can give you guys a shout out. So we can give you guys some superstar satisfaction right there. That will give us some love to go back out. But if you have an exceptional, I'll give you my client Lori. She interviewed probably 15 different brokers, and it was between me and another broker. And I was just real. She said I was the most hungry, but it went from like a weird scenario because she was, having back and forth conflicts. And I said, look, if you want results, hire me. Bottom line. I'm not going to give you all the warm and fuzzies. I'm going to get you results. And that's truly what somebody wants. But now, I set the clear expectations with her, and I set the clear expectations with her husband. In fact, y'all want to talk about real? Her husband said my photos look like shit. You know, I mean, real talk. Like her husband said, my photos look like crap, and it's funny. So now every time I talk to him, I'm like, man, aren't you glad I've got really crappy photos? Because my really crappy photos got your house sold in 27 days. He didn't like the hewing on them or drone photos, and it's funny now. But you know, like I had to have a real talk. Say, look, you do you, let me do me, and let's meet in the middle, and I'll get you to results. But being real with them, setting the expectations. What's up, Chris? It went a long way, and now they're raving fans. Like they're like, we only want to use your people, we only want to deal with you, we only want to use your inspector, use your lender. I was like, look, like I don't have a specific person. I was like, I do business with people that I can trust, that I've built relationships, that I know when I pass that baton that they're going to get treated the exact same way. So if you've see, man, look at this. That's exactly why I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted, and that's exactly what I got when I hired Jay. I appreciate that, Chris. So here's a cool story, guys. One of my clients just commented below, and I never met the guy. He was on a boat working, grinding for his family, and I was just raw and real with him. So I appreciate that, Chris. That goes a long way, and I love working with you guys. Let's go into the next thing. As building relationships, and I'm just talking about working relationship, not talking about our specific business, but when it goes into a business relationship, what are you responsible for the other party, just in general?
Let me make sure I understand that question a little bit better. Can you?
Yeah. So, like for me, it's my obligation, it's my responsibility to set expectations for the clients so they understand the process as far as, hey, this is an LO, this is what they do. It's our job to make sure that we find the house and whatnot. But setting expectations, so like if you're going to pass off to a vendor that you have, there's certain cues of letting them know, hey, this is my obligation. And I know for my working relationship with different vendors and partners that I need to go and let them know, hey, this is realistic. This is what the expectations are. This is my experience. Like for you, on the other side of it, what would you say that your responsibilities are to the other partner? So like for us, our working relationship, what would you say that your responsibilities are to protect us or doing business with? Like what would that look like?
Sure. I think it all goes back to clear expectations. Jay mentioned that. You've heard him say that phrase probably 20 times. But foresight, you got to be able to predict what might happen based on previous experiences. So if you've got this scenario, then, hey, last time we had this scenario, this is what happened. These were the variables that we had to deal with. And so I talk to all my clients about everyone's situation being different. You got a puzzle, but the picture never looks exactly the same from one client to the next. And so you've got all these pieces, and you've got to put them all together.
Brian, and make clip on that one. I want to steal that phrase.
you got to make the picture be whole so you can see it clearly. And so I look at everything, and I don't stop at, hey, you're qualified, buy a house. I say you're qualified where you are. However, you can be even better qualified. You can get yourself a slightly better interest rate, or if you don't have 20% to put down, you're going to get yourself in a better position regarding your PMI or mortgage insurance by doing this. Or you currently qualify for this loan program, but if you do this, you can qualify for this one, which will give you better terms in the long term. So your financial picture long term. And so that's the value add I provide. As far as responsibility, I take it on myself to make sure that every single person that I talk to is going to leave much better off after they talked with me than before they ever met me. And I think that's what's most important. And then as far as the other people involved in the situation, my processor is crucial to my success. And so I introduce her. If I have a client in my office, I introduce them face to face. She sits right across from my office. That way they can know who else is communicating with them on a regular basis to go over what's needed to help them get to the finish line, to get their approval so they can move into their dream house. Underwriters, I share with them, hey, once we get everything, we're ready to submit to underwriting. The expectation is the underwriter's either going to give us an approval, or they might say, hey, we need to dot this I across this T as well. And so just be aware that we may reach out to you again for that. And I just give them an expectation along the process. Here's what you can expect to receive from me. Here's what you can expect to receive from my processor. With your agents, make sure to listen to the advice that they give you.
Don't go and buy,
Don't go by, I have a template, and I think that's really important for organization's sake. I email every one of my clients. I've got a template that it's standard, but then I customize it to each individual. But it's got all the pieces on there that I need, and I can add or subtract to it if necessary, based on their specific situation. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Going back to self-reflection, I learned that if I tell a client verbally something, they may or may not remember it. Some people are visual learners. I am. And so when I see something in writing, I'm a lot more likely to remember it. And that's going to be popping in the back of my head when I'm doing something that during the mortgage process, maybe I shouldn't be. But if I saw it in writing, I'm a lot more likely to remember than if someone just told me verbally.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of that, how many times do we have to say set expectations, take care of your people? Goes a long ways. But just talking about things of that nature. I think everybody has had a failure in their career, or in a situation where it may not be specifically you, but in your career in lending. What's been the biggest failure that you've had? Because I think that people can understand, like, maybe not setting the right expectation, but for people out there that's maybe new in the business, or they've been in the business for 20 years, or just whatever that may be, people can relate, because stuff happens all the time. Y'all know something funny? So like, we always watch memes and videos of everything. The other day I drove off with the pump still in my gas tank.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, that's on every funny meme ever. And I'm like, what a big dummy. Well, now, just so you guys know, now they've seen enough dummies do that to where it's literally just a connector and it pops off with pressure. So I just went back and attached it, and I was like, because I thought I was just going to run off and like oops. But I put it back up, and there's a thing that you connect to its little circle device, and you spin it, and it like connects right away. So
you shouldn't know how to do that, by the way.
I agree. No, I mean, listen, I'm just talking about being real, and then we're on Real Talk Monday, so let's just be real. But what has been your biggest fail in your year in your career so far?
Yeah, I think to me, again, I keep number one is making my client happy. So if I ever feel like I've let my client down, that's the biggest failure. I mean, I recall the first time I ever did that. I had a client come to me, and I got her pre-approved, and as we're moving along the process, crazy unforeseen circumstances come up. There's this thing called a Cavers number. Nobody else in this room or anybody watching this probably knows what that is, but it can, if that comes back and it's not the right number, then it can prevent you from getting a mortgage loan. Well, I had never...
What is a Cavers number?
So basically, it's a number that is applicable for any sort of government loan, like an FHA loan, rural development loan, VA loan, those types of loans. And if the number's not correct, then it's indicative that you've had something happen in your past that would prevent you from getting a government loan. And so for this lady, she had a really bad circumstance where a husband passed away, and that caused heartache, which prevented her from being able to keep up with her mortgage. Even though it was years and years in the past, it was still there, and so it had never been cleared, and prevented her from being able to get a mortgage. Well, because of that, going back to self-reflection, anytime I have a client who we're considering doing a government loan for, one of the very first things I do is have that Cavers number checked up front before I give them that pre-approval letter.
So anyone can pull that?
No, I think it's just a mortgage related, but I...
Well, no. Any loan officer can pull that?
Well, then a loan officer or processor could pull it. But
so if you guys are watching this, if you're in lending, maybe take that as a note to learn from his mistake, and that way you don't have to learn yourself.
Yeah, learn exactly. Don't do it the hard way like I did. But that I felt horrible, because I had really gotten this lady's hopes up, and she had found a house, and it wasn't until a couple weeks after we already had a contract for her to buy a house that we discovered that she had a CAVERS number that wasn't acceptable, and there was nothing we could do to clear that for her, unfortunately. I mean, I tried everything under the sun, every different loan program, different options, but we couldn't get it to work. So just to let my client down after having gotten her hopes up so high was my biggest disappointment, just seeing her be devastated like that.
So, and that's one of those, that's kind of an unforeseen variable. Apparently Keith is way better than me because I've got a laundry list of fails. But really, I think that my failures, in my opinion, has led me to be an experienced agent, a vetted agent, somebody that knows. There's not a whole lot of agents that have been in the business for 30 months that knows what I know, and half of it is because, man, I messed up a lot, and I can say that now. I can say that with conviction because I've learned so much, and I'm a big believer of failing forward. I could go out and mope about it and cry about it, but learn from those things. But that's one of the reasons I have this podcast is I want to help people not sit in that situation. I want to prevent people from being in this situation. I almost lost my real estate license 90 days in. The thing that's made me, more money than I've ever dreamt of making, the business that has put me in the vehicle to where I can meet so many people and help so many people. I almost lost that opportunity 90 days in the business. And it's crazy to think that. So let's get off that, though. Let's go into what's the biggest win. What was the biggest, man, this isn't going to happen. Tell me, and it may not even be a particular case, but what's been the biggest win in your career thus far? Partner up with Jay Combs and his crew.
Yeah. Well, no kidding, right? I mean, when you work with great people and you see that relationship bearing fruit on a regular basis, that is a huge win.
Sure.
So from a long-term, kind of a hierarchy looking level, then I would say, yeah, that's huge. From just a one point in time, specific example, I think it's when one of your biggest competitors was trying to help a client and they say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And then that client comes to you and you get it done. Ooh. That makes you feel good because you're like, what? Hey, this person couldn't get it done and they're very well regarded. And
that's like dangling a steak in front of a dog right there.
Yeah.
If y'all can't get that analogy.
Yeah. I mean, so that feels really good because especially if that individual can be a referral source, have a lot of exposure to a lot of people that could eventually be your clients. That feels good. So again, that's a personal level, but from a big picture view, I would say absolutely having good relationships. That's establishing those and not being afraid to ask for it. If you don't ask somebody for their business, then they're not going to give it to you. I mean, because there are other people asking for it.
Yeah.
And so if you're not
the
asking,
squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah, and don't be annoying about it, but you got to be persistent. Maybe to steal a phrase from someone I've heard before, pleasantly persistent. Always stay top of mind. And that's what's going to help you start those relationships. And then after you've gotten the chance to prove yourself. And then prove yourself again and again. It's always, what have you done for me lately? Once you've built a good relationship, you might have a little bit of grace built in, but you always got to make sure you're staying top of your game. Yeah. Make sure that you're doing everything you can to be successful.
We got a couple of persistent people that's following this thread. I got to give Jake Morris a shout out. That's one of the most persistent guys I've ever met in my real estate career. So shout out to Jake Morris. Got another guy, Mark Maley. He's pretty persistent guy as well. I see him out there producing. But shout out to you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. So biggest win. I mean, that really is. I think I can tell you, kind of leading back into that, talking about a referral source. I've talked about it a lot here lately, but a couple of our clients, Chevy, one of my agents, he went on a listing appointment with a seller, and setting clear expectations, doing what others didn't do, and surpassing and overcoming those, doing better than the expectations that you set. Chevy went out and did an open house, ended up selling the house. We had an in-house transaction. One of our agents helped sell one of Chevy's listings. Well, Chevy went and did the open house, earned the business of another seller. That seller we ended up sold their house after it fell through. Keith was able to help them lock down a loan. They went out and bought a house. So listing turned into a listing turned into a buy. Then they referred out. Actually, there was two sides of the sale. Then they went out and referred us another property. We sold that property in-house as well, so 2 in-house transactions. So we've got 5-6 deals there, and then we just got another referral. So talking about big wins, taking care of people, and doing exactly what you tell people. Sometimes that works. We're gonna wrap it up here, but going into that, so let's just think of like new. Are we still live?
Plug that in there. There we go.
Dang! Guys, Keith broke it. Anyway, so now we can't see that screen, so that now we'll stay actually probably attentive to that. Keith just killed my mojo. Thanks, Keith. Guys, if y'all don't know
that, don't put your plug right in the where your foot.
Fair enough. I lost my train of thought. Oh, so man, let's go into, let's give a couple, last couple questions. You're talking to a new LO. You're mentoring a new LO, or you're mentoring someone in the Boys and Girls Foundation. We're talking about building lasting working relationships. In your opinion, why is that important? I know it's a vague question, but really, like to Keith Edmonds, based out of Maryville, why is that important to you? And if you're expressing this to someone new,
yeah. Well, I hinted at this earlier. You have to prove yourself every single time you have the chance. But if you've built a relationship, then you're going to be granted a little bit more grace. So if you do slip up a little bit, then someone's going to be more understanding because they know you more. They've had those warm moments with you, and so they can appreciate you as a human. And everyone makes mistakes. We're all human, right? So if you have proven yourself, shown yourself to be human, that side of you, then you're going to be given more grace, which is going to help you to overcome obstacles. And somebody's going to be right there by your side because they know that you're giving it your best effort and your intentions are good. And that's what's important. If people understand that, then that's going to be really helpful. And the better relationships you build, Jay talked about this earlier, one really good client, one really good referral source can be better, more profitable than, what'd you say, $15,000 worth of marketing. And
that's from Jim Rohn, not from Jay Combs. I can't even take credit
give that credit. And that's what a good long-term relationship can do, because if you just touch on 100 people and you're just acquaintances with those individuals, probably not going to get a whole lot of business from those 100 individuals. But if you have 5 strong relationships with people that are long-lasting, that you talk to on a regular basis, you're going to get a lot more referrals from those 5 good relationships than you would those 100 kind of acquaintances.
I agree with that. And I'm going to hit on something with that because it struck my mind. When I got into the business, not only do you have to build relationships, guys, but you have to nurture those relationships. Mm-hmm. And you've got there's a level of sustainability. When you stop taking care of your people, they're going to stop taking care of you. I can recall a broker in our town that told me that, one off of let's just say a group. They were involved with a group, and one of those turned into, I think over the course of their career, $15 million worth of production. Talk about some. That's good. So $15 million worth of production was based off of one relationship. Well, they got complacent. It was expected. It was no longer a 50-50 relationship. It was like a, hey, you owe me type deal. And over time, that relationship diminished. They lost that book of business because they didn't nourish that relationship. They didn't take care of it. They didn't fulfill their end of the bargain. Now I was talking about what you're responsible for. You're responsible for being involved. If you want to talk about real relationships, there's always two sides of every story, right? There's always two sides of every one. You want to give more than you receive, and I think if you're giving more than you receive, I think that there's going to be an abundance. Imagine just having a relationship with good people that had your best intent, that wanted to take care of you. I'm talking about your sphere of influence of people, and you're giving more than you're expecting to receive, but then you find someone that's the same type person. Now you guys are competing who can send who the most amount of business. That's the type of relationship that you want to be in, but you've got to nurture, you've got to cultivate that, and that's what you're talking about. Erica, that's what she's really good at, is just taking care of people long term. And that was actually my last point to hit on was taking care of your people. And I'm just gonna have to steal it back from you, Keith. I think the power of taking care of your people long term. I haven't been in a business to deal with people's kids. But I know brokers and LOs that have worked with people, and they've been able to then work with their kids, 20 years down the road. Like, how awesome would that be? Oh yeah, I've worked with 3 generations of this family's business. But if you do take care of your people, it'll multiply. Just like I was telling you guys earlier, that one deal turned into 6 or 7 deals all in all, which has been obviously profitable for the business, but really the most profitable thing is we built some really, really cool relationships. One last nugget, share anything that you can share out with somebody. Give everybody one last Real Talk Monday nugget for them to take away on a Monday, on a cold, rainy Monday.
I'll just give a little quote here, inspirational quote.
Go for the goal.
So Henry Ford said this years ago, and it was, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Amen to that. So elaborate a little bit more.
Well, I mean, it's a mindset thing. If you think you can go out and accomplish a dream, accomplish a goal, then you're more likely to do it. If you think, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, then you're right. You're not going to be able to do it because you haven't set yourself up with the right mindset.
Absolutely. Woo! Man, that could be a whole another podcast in itself. Keith wants me to go on for 3 hours on that note. But no, whether you think you can or you can't, is right. Exactly right. You're 100% correct. And I encourage you guys, I hope my office takes something away from that. You can have it all or you can have nothing at all. It's your choice in doing that. I was actually sitting down with Brian earlier. We were talking about a guy, and I was talking about, there's a lot that will, but there's way more that won't. And I was like, the biggest differentiator is the one who acts. So your mindset leads it, but your actions follow it. Those things go hand in hand. So I appreciate that, guys. Real Talk Mondays. Hope you guys tune in next week. We'll have another special guest. Keith, I appreciate you taking the time, spreading some knowledge to everybody. Guys, just this right here, this group, his group, my group, or him and his office, his support staff. My gosh, we're talking about you're at 70 million.
Close to 70 for the last 2 years.
We're talking about, $140+ million. $140 million worth of home sales and transaction mortgage loans, in the last 24 months, not even 24 months. I hope you guys valued that. I hope you guys took something away. If you guys are watching the replay of this, give us a hashtag replay. Comment below. We'll get back to those comments. I've tagged Keith. If you guys don't have a good LO, you can find him. I've tagged him on this as well. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Tune in to next week. Catch you next time. My dude. Appreciate it.